Storytellers don't just talk about the world, they shape it. The stories we share are like soil. They're living, dynamic, and the kinds of stories we choose to tell determines the kind of world that grows around us. So I usually talk about storytelling and creativity and how to use those tools to solve problems and make the world better. Kind of need to acknowledge that right now the world's not been in a good spot. I'm sure you can just scroll further along your feed and see it for yourself, but just the amount of pain and devastation and really disturbing things we're seeing on a regular basis is not something you can escape or should escape. One thing that I think I've been seeing really common though is that there's a lot of hurt out there, but as people are expressing their fears, their sadness, their devastation, a common response is to kind of deflect it or to spiral it immediately into anger and into an argument. A very common way I see this happen is by people saying, well, what about this other thing that's just terrible and stuff? And yes, each of these things that are brought up are horrible in their own right and should probably be processed individually. But what's happening is we're kind of using this to deflect from pain and to just start listing tragedies rather than feeling them. And I think when we do that, we're missing an important part of the step, which is to actually feel the heaviness of what's happening. I'm saying this as somebody who's not naturally good at that, at making the space to feel these things. I think I'm naturally gifted at finding the positives, looking at the bright side. And like any behavior, I've learned that because it's helped me a great deal. But the corresponding weakness is I don't often make room for the heaviness like I probably should. I'm kind of like the person that I think Inside Out was speaking to when they're like, make room for sadness. It's important too. One person I really admire a lot is Oscar Romero. He was recently beatified as a saint, and he was the Archbishop for El Salvador during massacres, during just a hard time in that country. And he didn't start out that way. In fact, it was really his work as a priest and ministering to just the poorest populations, the most marginalized, that he found solidarity with them. And he was really bothered by their experiences, and I think that led to one of my favorite quotes of his, which is, "There are some things that can only be seen through eyes that have cried." When you actually take the time to process that hurt, I think it gives you this perspective you need in order to move forward. And I'm all about moving forward. I'm all about solutions and actually putting an end to the hurt, but I don't think you have the clarity that it takes to do that unless you've actually sat with the pain. So that's not the most chipper message on earth, but it might be one that we need right now.